All I'm trying to say is, see, I don't want to go through your phone. Go Through Your Phone by PJ Morton. If you haven't heard it, well, now you have, but you definitely got to listen to the real version. It might be slightly better than my little singing snippet there. But check this out. From the alien's perspective, looking down on the earth, what would the alien think? Oh my gosh, look at these little creatures, man. They go to these buildings every day, and they spend quite a lot of time there, and they don't like it. Actually, they hate it. And then they get back to their other building at the end of the day and then complain. But they stay with it. They don't quit. They do this for years and years and years and years. And I don't know why. And the way they pick their leaders, oh my goodness. It's a shit show. They're essentially trying to figure out who's going to lead them in the best direction every 4 years, and they really hate each other over it. Oh my goodness. They even kill each other over it. Also, they're so consumed by this idea of who is the floating spirit in the sky. And they wear jewelry that shows who they believe in. They go to these other buildings once a week or multiple times a week, depending on which version they believe in, to worship that spirit. And gosh, you think about the leader thing that people are getting angry over. This one's even worse. We've got entire regions of these people trying to kill other regions over their thought of who the floating spirit in the sky is. It's really crazy. Also, seemingly everybody, and even in areas that don't seem like this would be the case, but seemingly everybody has a little rectangle that they carry around. And though they have the vast planet to observe and learn from, they are so consumed by these little rectangular screens that they carry around. So much so that sometimes they can't even hear people over their observation of the screen. But their ears aren't plugged. They're not actually even listening to anything, but their attention is so far consumed by the screen that they miss what's going on in the world around them so consistently. It's weird because it seems like some of these human creatures created this. They created this situation where everybody is consumed by the attention-grabbing screen that nobody can look away from. And it seems like when people are very mindless in this way, when people are very passive and attached to something that almost atrophies their mind instead of empowering their mind, it's very easy to control them. From the alien's perspective, it would be wild to look down on how humans interact in general, for sure, but are so consumed by their damn phones. So, in this episode, I'd love to talk about how to get off your damn phone. That's the whole thing. How can we break that spell? How can you actually build a different relationship with the phone that maybe involves more mindfulness and more awareness? Because I think it's not only something that's starting to happen, it's something that's been happening for years and years, that people are genuinely starting to not live their lives outside of the phone. And when you can break the spell, when you can just cut the cycle for a second and exit that, There's a lot of clarity to be found in this. And I think the way that we go about it is very important too. I think it's definitely a popular thing today to kind of get off the phone, you know what I mean? Spend time staring at the wall and whatnot. And I hope that the messages I continue to preach around that are playing a part, i.e. no phone dinner. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that every single end of the episode, I'm telling you, when you eat dinner tonight, you better put your damn phone away to practice being present. So it's definitely becoming a thing. But oftentimes you see some of these products like the brick thing, for example, which I definitely think is really cool. But I think when another product or another thing is what helps people get off of the first thing, as in the phone, then people aren't really able to take full ownership of kind of the discipline around these things. And so along with the product of being disciplined or consistent or getting off of the phone, my mind goes to who is the authority over that, who actually owns the discipline or the behavior. And I think that every individual should be the owner of their own good behavior. So a lot of thoughts in this kind of category, because I think in nearly every single way, the technology of today is somewhat involved. And even to try and get people to back away from technology a little bit, we still have to work from within. As in, to spread a message about spending less time on social media, where the hell do you put that on social media? So there's a lot of paradoxical nature, I guess, to some of the things that I'm talking about, because maybe you're listening to this podcast on your damn phone. So, kind of a contradiction there, but we'll kind of accept that, and again, try and work from within the concept of, yeah, everyone's on their damn phones. Anyways, I am too. So my first kind of, I guess, umbrella of ideas here: break the hypnosis through awareness. So the way that you break any kind of cycle is through being aware of that cycle in the first place. And I don't know, I have this sliver of empathy for quote unquote most people, in a sense. I know, empathy coming from me, impossible. If you only watched me on Instagram and only saw the hot takes that people get so angry about and say, oh, I remember when you were such a empathetic guy. And I say, oh, you're judging all my posts by a couple of fun posts here and there. But gosh, this podcast is so good because we get to cover everything. We get to actually have some nuance. So I say that with sarcasm. I actually try and be pretty damn empathetic. But it doesn't always come through in a 15-second message. My goodness. But look, my sliver of empathy here is for people that really don't have the time. I mean, when it comes down to it, we've kind of been programmed in a sense to work all day long, or go to work all day long, come back home, and you only have a little bit of time. And so to be able to feel relaxed and quote unquote enjoy that time, most people are going to try and use some form of distraction. They're not going to go to work all day long and then come home and listen to some podcasts about mental health and I don't know, how the technology of today is atrophying the human mind instead of empowering it. And you pick up on so many of these things when you listen to a lot of deeper folks out there that are talking about this kind of stuff. But for the average person, they're not being taught to seek that out. And I feel like the baseline almost in today's world is not curiosity. It's trying to shut out the possibilities of new ideas because new ideas are kind of uncomfortable. And so that's my sliver of empathy there. It's not like this stuff is just taught from day one. Hey, you should be mindful. Hey, you should bring awareness to things. Hey, you should spend time kind of working on yourself. Maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you listen to a lot of other content that says similar messages, and you're kind of in a healthy echo chamber in a way that's empowering you to actually use your mind. But you got to realize that that is not the average person. I've got to realize that that is not the average person, right? So awareness is a big deal. The way that you change something, it's just calling attention to it. And I don't know how to tell you to bring attention to something, to be honest with you. I've had this conversation so many times. When I'm talking to or working with really high performing people, and maybe there's an objective in place. Hey, you should remember to do blank. Or you should remember this mental framework around, oh, here you're acting really scarce. You know, you need to bring more abundance into your relationships, whatever it might be, right? The next question would be how? How do you do that? How do you access that part of your mind? How do you wake up early in the morning? How do you be disciplined, etc.? The answer it's not such a feel-good answer, because it literally is bring more attention, be more aware, remember. You know, you can't really go down any further, because the question is also the answer. How do you wake up early? You wake up early. Whatever is beneath that, that is almost proprietary. Whatever it takes for you to get yourself to remember something, that is how you bring intention. That is how you call attention to anything. And so accessing that part of your mind and getting more used to seeing your own self as kind of the control center, right? That makes this skill a lot easier. So for me, you know, if I go to bed tonight and say, all right, in the morning I need to remember X, I will definitely wake up and just remember that thing immediately, because I've built that strong communication with myself. But how do you build greater intention? You just intend more and more. So you kind of fabricate this urgency, repeat stuff to yourself over and over again, right? And you'll learn how your mind responds to that intention. So when you think of, I guess the whole phone sort of thing, technology in general, and this goes much wider, but this is the focus here, being less of a consumer and more of a producer, this gives you a different lens to see things through. So I create content on social media. I go on social media in kind of a different mind posture than maybe the average person, because the average person is going to go on there just to consume. I go on there to consume, sure, but also to kind of gather information. And I've almost got this added third-person observation eye when I'm scrolling, because I go, oh, maybe this was a funny video, or maybe this was an interesting thing, but why did this work? And why did this get a lot of people's attention? And then you start to get curious about these things. And then you start to kind of explore those questions outside of just your own mind. And then you hear people talking about how these algorithms work. And I've brought this up before. You look at these platforms, and they're built obviously to be kind of a mental glue to the scroll. And it used to be that if you were on the home page of Instagram, you would see your messages in the top right. So it'd be a little red dot. Excuse me. It'd be a little red dot. And you can see that, oh, I have 2 messages. So you'd connect this red dot in your mind with, I have messages. Boom, click, open. You could also swipe. You could swipe left, and it would bring up your messages. And it was that way for years. Now, when you're on the home page of Instagram, your home feed, you see that same little dot in the red corner, which is actually now your notifications. And if you swipe left, it's going to bring you into Reels. And then the algorithm is hyper adapted to what you like and what you're going to find funny or interesting or engaging. And that first video is going to be the best thing you've ever seen. And then there you find yourself in the scroll. And it's completely mindless. And then you've been scrolling for 30 minutes and you go, whoa, what was I even on here for? That's intentional. Through having this producer sort of lens, I've learned these things. I'm not immune to it, but I am able to go on these platforms and see that, this is part of the plan. This is not just the way it is. This is a skilled crafting of making people engaged and actually have a hard time breaking away from it. So having the producer mindset gives you kind of the inside scoop, and that's going to be in any sense. You know what I mean? If you started to produce music and then you hear some shit on the radio and you hear someone's voice do something crazy, you go, oh, I see, that's auto-tune. It's actually really easy to do that. And then you find that most musicians or most singers on the top charts might not even be that great at singing. They're just great at being a famous celeb. You know, if you start looking into rocket science, you probably get the inside scoop on rocket science. You know what I mean? There's so much information to be found when you are interested and curious, instead of just consuming things. You could even take products at the grocery store. If you were to create a food product and try to get it into a grocery store, you would have this crazy library of knowledge that just shows you, oh my gosh, I see what it takes to get the organic certification and the gluten-free certification, and how you have to prove your value to the grocery stores, and then they invest in kind of this wholesale model, and some stores even do kind of a consignment model where you're only getting paid once your shit goes off the shelf. It's ridiculous. I'm saying this because I have done this personally, but any sector that you start to become a producer in, you get a crazy amount of information. So this is a big part of this awareness that as we kind of go forward is going to funnel down a little bit more specifically into kind of this idea of the phone. Also a big part of the awareness, it's extreme observation. So the only way that I was able to see that little pattern of the messages thing on Instagram is by watching. Over the years, a big priority of mine has been tuning my eyes and ears to be very sensitive in a good way, to where I pick up on a lot of detail. Very, very, very detail oriented in my life, especially with sound. Little sound bites and stuff really stick with me. Songs and everything. I mean, obviously the way I start each podcast episode, I love to have this network of visual and audio information that kind of connects my world, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe I sound like I'm speaking another language, but I'm sure as intentional folks listening to this, you might have some form of being able to relate to that. But this extreme observation idea, I'm really passionate about, because I think it opens up just a whole new world of information and being able to connect with people. I did this as kind of a huge deep dive, the idea of extreme observation. I did this in my mastermind group. So it was a huge curated lesson about, again, these ideas of tuning the senses to the world around you and the amount of information that you pick up on. It was really cool because in the community, for the week following, a bunch of people were taking photos of the things that they see on their walk, and they said, wow, I never really realized that this railing had these little seahorses, I think one person said, and they just looked at the artistry of the architecture around them, and just pointing out little details about their daily walk, because that was one of the exercises I did for the group. I said, hey, what are 5 to 10 things that you see on your commute or your walk every day, to make people more tuned to their environment, and diving into kind of these finer skill sets within the mastermind. I really love to do, because there's not a lot of groups out there talking about these more specific skills. I think people hyperfixate over a lot of the branches of what people want to accomplish, as in fitness, finances, relationships, etc. But when we start to attach these really valuable lenses to our own character, the world becomes very different. Again, utilizing this idea of awareness, being less of a consumer, more of a producer, extreme observation. So going through those deep dives with everybody, it creates some of the most amazing conversations. And I feel really excited to continue equipping myself with these kind of skills, but bringing that into the mastermind group, teaching people to, again, kind of beef up these skill sets that make you a better communicator. They make you more able to connect with other people. They make you more capable in the work that you do and your lifestyle, the self-relationship that you have. It is such a cool thing. If you'd be interested in joining that group, by the way, the top link in the description of this episode, it's my landing page. You can go there and see kind of all the details and whatnot. But such a cool group. And again, being able to deep dive topics like that, I feel like a scientist with all of us just breaking down these super niche kind of ideas. It's absolutely incredible. So I also talked about this on the call. Now that I'm thinking of it, there was a day I was on my phone, and I mean, when you're looking down at the damn screen, you're very engulfed in that experience. And growing up, I feel like I could watch something in detail 120 degrees away from my damn eyeballs. I'm going, my peripheral vision is maybe better than my straightforward vision at this point, because you can just pick up on so much in this wider field of your eyes. And I started to exercise that a little bit while I was on my phone. So I was looking at the screen, but then I was trying to pay attention to kind of the edges of my sight instead of what was actually in front of me. And it was really interesting just how, though I'm kind of presenting it as more of a visual exercise, it really was more of a mental sort of, what the hell am I doing kind of exercise, because I'm looking out at my phone and just realizing that, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like the world is in my hand on this screen, but really it's everywhere else. The world and what's actually happening is not here at this little collection of pixels. It's in this looking around the room and looking outside and picking my head up, right? Because our heads are just down all the time. So being able to kind of pick the head up in that way while being on the screen, it accessed a new kind of awareness. And so now sometimes when I'm looking down at my phone like that, again, I remember this little conversation with myself, and I start to look in the peripheral vision, and I kind of pick my head up and go, oh shoot, okay, I need to remind myself that I'm in the damn world and this phone is not my world. So this is really just kind of an image of my mind on this idea of awareness. You know what I mean? And this stuff is super abstract. I'm not sitting here going, oh, here are the 3 steps to becoming more aware. It's not like that, because these little conversations with yourself, these observations, I mean, again, they're proprietary to you, and you synthesize information different from me, and the next person synthesizes information different from you. We all have these unique abilities to kind of speak our own language, but in this umbrella of awareness, it's just super important that you actually work on that, because if you don't, again, if you're not exercising your mind through observation and through thinking, it atrophies, it just gets weaker, and then mindlessness is kind of the product and the magnet to the phone. So toxicity is kind of the fuel of phones, social media, just this hyper addictive state. It's not a healthy thing. So that would be kind of a really important thing to recognize, is that you're up against something that is addictive and toxic. So you can be in a toxic relationship with anything. I think most people are in a toxic relationship with the phone, because the phone is kind of a false safety blanket. You can be in a toxic relationship with yourself. I think most people are in that kind of relationship too, because the self feels heavy emotions and feels attacked by the self, then tries to reconcile with the self by utilizing all kinds of distraction and whatnot. And so it's just this emotional roller coaster. So a lot of people that are addicted to a certain substance, for example, they're actually using that substance to fuel the toxic self relationship, because if you don't like who you are, the only way out of not liking who you are is by treating yourself very well. But you don't want to treat somebody that treats you like shit well, so then you treat them like shit. But this is all going on within you. And then any form of distraction or any form of avoidance from the self is used, and then it just inflates that toxic relationship again. So we can have a very toxic relationship with a lot of things, and it's only through awareness that we're going to be able to see that and kind of break it down. This is the real nuance behind this phone shit. It's not so simple. It's not just kind of put it in a thing and lock it up and get this app that forces you to do X, Y, and Z. This is the real stuff here. And I hope that I know most people that hear me talk about these things probably will not latch onto them, because this is real self-work. This is real self-development. This isn't some hack type of bullshit. And, I kind of shoot myself in the foot by presenting this sort of information, because it's not like this is viral by any means. You know what I mean? It's not like the real truth is actually what people want to hear, because, again, they're stuck in a lot of different toxic relationships. But this is the real deal. This is that nuance. This is how you not only break away from something, but do that through pure ownership and awareness, and you maintain the authority over yourself instead of being mindlessly pulled into shit that you're probably not going to be happy with 5 to 10 years from now. So again, trying to kind of give you the real deal here. And I also know that it's heavy. I know that this is not easy to do. Paying attention is not easy because it's not incentivized today. So I'll share this idea of kind of the good versus bad. I almost just freaking fell out of my chair. And I'll show you this dynamic of toxicity, especially on social media. And I think social media is the main thing driving people to be addicted to their phones. So the idea of phone addiction is kind of more social media addiction, at least in my mind. So when somebody is a creator, well, we have two different kinds of creators just for the sake of this dynamic or this concept. We have the good creator, the person who truly wants to help, the person who creates content that equips their audience with real skills and insight, hopefully creating some sort of abundance there. And then you have the ultra toxic sort of creator that they're putting out stuff that is not made to better the audience. It's actually made to just engage the audience at whatever cost. Okay. So the good creator, actually we'll start with the toxic creator. The toxic creator has people that believe in them and people that don't. The people that believe in them are also going to carry toxic traits. So then when there are people that don't believe in that creator, the toxic believers are going to fight the hell out of that war against the people that disagree. And the people that disagree in this toxic container are also going to be very toxic. So for this toxic creator, there's a split of toxic on their team, toxic off of their team, and then they go to war. And what does war do? Creates engagement. And it makes the toxic person even more toxic, and it makes them even more popular. So they're incentivized to be shitty. Now we have the good creator. The good creator is putting out content to try and, again, equip their audience with skills, with abundance. Ideally for the audience, they're walking away with a better mind, again, a better skill set, some form of abundance that is not toxic. In my experience, a lot of what I talk about is like, don't just blindly trust people. You can trust yourself. You have ownership over yourself. You can do hard things. You don't have to just blatantly listen to people. That the message there is, don't just blindly listen to the shit that you're seeing. including the stuff that I'm saying, unless you actually assess what you believe in, what your priorities are, that should be your lens first. Don't just blatantly trust me. Right? So then people see that for long enough and they go, okay, maybe I should spend less time on social media. Maybe I should start writing. Maybe I should start running more. Maybe I'm going to really live my own life. Maybe I'll become a producer of this instead of just a toxic consumer. And then the people that disagree, they disagree harshly because I'm kind of placing passive attacks on the toxic traits. So people that are toxic and they receive something that's non-toxic, they're going to absolutely hate that because that's not fuel for them. So for the good creator, you have the people that believe in them that are not going to be toxic and inflammatory. And then you just have the people that don't like them, that have a storm of their own, but it doesn't create this mass engagement. And so the person that's putting out good stuff is very minimally incentivized to keep doing it in that same way. So they're not growing as fast as the toxic person. So the whole system is based on toxic attention. It does not matter what it is that gets people's attention. It just matters that you get people's attention. This is my beef with all of these platforms. I just saw a post on Instagram as I was mindlessly consumed by the scroll. Kidding. Maybe not kidding. And it said Netflix is coming out with a TikTok-like part of their platform that has short snippets of blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, are you kidding me? And maybe that was made up by AI just for the reaction. Who knows? But if that's actually the case, mind-blowing. Absolutely ridiculous. Why are we trying to cater to the most toxic form of human communication more and more? Oh, I know. Because remember the alien perspective thing? When more people are mindless, it's much easier to control them. Seems like it's part of the plan. Now, what I see as kind of a general statement here with the phone thing, excuse me, we've built a society around an object that keeps us out of touch with each other, out of touch with nature. That's a really dystopian idea. I mean, genuinely, our culture is around the social media thing. The celebrities, all of that. I mean, I guess it used to be TV and movies and whatnot, but even TVs and movies now I feel like are more through the lens of social media. Most people spend a lot of time watching this stuff. And again, it's based on a toxic model, and so I can't say that it's the absolute best thing in the world. And so our society is based on being out of touch. And again, it's this paradoxical struggle of how do you get people to change that without working from within that. And so it's kind of funny, the idea of just posting on Instagram about spending less time on Instagram. It's just, how do you even overcome that? It's definitely something that I'm personally trying to think through. And it always emphasizes my enjoyment for doing something like this podcast because I'm actually able to go through a lot of different ideas and wonder things and just sit here and be present with it instead of just cheapening everything into some sort of blurb. So really think about that, though. Our society is built around an object that keeps us out of touch on a societal level. It's not just some people with some sort of problem. Nearly every single person is a part of that culture, is a part of the out of touch, would rather scroll on their phone than go outside and just sit and look. You know what is very interesting is that oftentimes if you were to show an animal a phone screen, you put a phone up to a dog, I feel like they always just look away from it. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how it captures the human eye. But more wild animals just couldn't give a damn about it. Pretty crazy. So my last little chunk here, I want to give you kind of a do something list, because I know a lot of these ideas are pretty abstract and out there, but again, you can do as many things as you want, but if you don't have the awareness and this observation and kind of this scope of the toxicity involved, then there's not going to be much fuel behind making the change and doing the things that I'm going to mention. But again, hopefully some of this is resonating and making sense. Sometimes I tend to not make sense, but I'm doing my best here. So the first thing to do is kind of a don't do as well, but it's no phone dinner, like I mentioned. At least for dinner time every night, you should not be looking at your phone. You should not be on your computer. You should not be watching TV. You shouldn't be listening to music even. Some calm, ambient sort of stuff, maybe. I mean, I'm so pro music. It's such a pain when I say don't listen to the music, but I think pure silence is really powerful. And especially if you don't get much of that at all, I say 15, 20 minutes of absolutely nothing would probably be the way to go. Gosh, some in my throat. But no technology, nothing like that while you're eating dinner. Again, at least while you're eating dinner every night. Just appreciate your meal, okay? You don't have to be distracted. And maybe if you spent a lot of time on your phone and all of this technology for so many years, like we all have, those first few nights eating dinner, you might find your knee kind of bouncing around. You might be looking around for something to grab or read, and try and work through that. Try and resist that a little bit. Because if you can exist in the present moment, I mean, you're more powerful than most people at all today, because nobody's practicing this. To think that someone going into a waiting room and just waiting for 10 minutes would be kind of difficult for a lot of people, it's insane. And you can really see people start to lose this sense of okayness when they just have to sit and do nothing. That is crazy. All right, so no phone dinner. Do not look at the phone while you're eating dinner. It will absolutely change your life. It will change how your brain works. We need people to be doing this. If I could cast a spell, or can a spell be a good thing too? I don't know. If I could cast a positive spell on the entire world, it would be the no phone dinner, for sure. It's either everyone exercises every day or everyone does the no phone dinner. I think either one of those would have ridiculous positives. But no phone dinner. Now, this next point is so cool. It's actually just a great practical tip. So one of the members in the mastermind, Abby, if you're listening to this, what's up? She had some really cool advice when we talked about the extreme observation and just how we interact with our phones and whatnot. So she mentioned this feature called Raise to Wake on your phone. So if you have an iPhone, when you pick it up, the screen turns on automatically. So it's just you pick the thing up, boom, screen's on, and then you go into your funnel of getting on your phone, being on there for probably too damn long. But she mentioned that you can just turn that setting off, so when you pick your phone up, nothing turns on. And then for me, especially for the first little while, having turned that setting off, I would just pick up my phone and I would see myself in the reflection. I'd go, oh man, what a good little metaphorical lesson there. So yeah, go into your settings and you can just turn that shit off. I think that's such a cool little practical tip. She also mentioned a great kind of analogy for a lot of the things that I mentioned in this podcast too, but she said our default settings are not optimal. So think about how we are default programmed in today's world to just be mindless and passive. It's not ideal. She talked about the phone. The default settings of the phone are kind of set up for you to fail. And you can go in there and say, oh, what does this setting do? You can be curious about that. You can learn about the Raise to Wake feature. and make it work better to empower you more just in these little ways. But it takes work. It takes the curiosity. It takes the awareness. This is such a powerful idea, because if you're willing to go in and change those default settings, you can truly level up your mind. You can truly level up your life through doing this. So that was such a cool point. I'm really glad I remembered to write that down, because that shit was awesome. Now the last do something. I think this is kind of this is just a general, but enjoy your life more. If you enjoyed your life more, you wouldn't want to be on the phone as much. If you're hanging out with people that you love, you're not going to be stuck to that phone. And if you are, check yourself, right? The ability to do things that excites you, that is here today. There are little pockets of opportunity to do some things that you find fun. And leave your phone in the car. Leave your phone at home. Put it in your pocket and just don't pick it up every 10 seconds. Whatever barrier or boundary you want to put around that, do it. Because enjoying your life is actually an incredible thing. And I'm kind of at fault of this because, or I'm guilty of this, because I like to record everything. It was funny. I went to Barton Springs yesterday here in Austin, Texas. It's kind of this huge, naturally fed spring pool kind of thing, and there's a diving board on it. And it was packed yesterday. People just one by one going off this thing, hitting these big tricks. And I can do a double backflip on trampoline, but I hate to do it into water because it's just so freaking scary. And when I slap on water, it's just the worst feeling. But yesterday I just felt compelled, like I needed to hit the double backflip. So I got up there, just ripped it, landed it just fine. And afterwards, I was kind of going, man, did I really just do an undocumented double backflip? There's not even a video of it. You know, what even was the point, right? Kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek statement of, not everything needs to be recorded, of course. But honestly, would have been nice. But look, enjoy your life more. And I'm trying to do that in every single sense, not just the phone way, but let's enjoy life. Let's keep making life better. That's going to be the big takeaway here, okay? So that said, a couple things before I jump. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe so you don't miss next week's video, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a like if you could love it. I'm sure you would. And I'd really appreciate that too, but just leave a like, you know. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can comment on there as well. It's my favorite notification. I've told you guys this before. Whenever I see that Spotify for Creators thing come up and someone leaves a comment, says, hey man, this was really helpful. Hey, this changed my life. Hey, you're a piece of shit, whatever it is. I love to see all of it. It's the best thing ever. Always makes my day. You can click the follow. Oh, wait. I just hit 5K followers on Spotify. So you guys are the freaking best. How cool is that? So yeah, click the follow so you don't miss next week's episodes and all of the episodes that have come before this one. This was episode 50, by the way. That is 50 weeks in a row of doing the podcast. Almost a year. That's crazy. I don't know. I still feel like this is a new thing sometimes. But yeah, it's been quite the ride, and I love continuing to make these episodes. So click the follow and leave a 5-star rating for the show. That would be freaking sick too. I'm coughing like crazy. Yeah, that'll wake you up. Last but not least. Well, no, not even last. I can't breathe right now. Perfect timing. I'm keeping it in. Raw and real. I might need a few moments to keep coughing. Holy cow. I don't know what's gotten into me, but it's not fun. I'm falling apart right here at the end. But if you want to sign up for my newsletter, I send out 2 of those a week. You're going to love it. Link to sign up for that is in the description or show notes. Totally free. deep diving similar topics to this. Like I mentioned about the mastermind, if you are interested in joining, make sure to click the top link in the show notes or description. You can go to my landing page. You can see the information about how the mastermind works. Set up a consultation call there. Also, my one-on-one mentorship, helping people build unbreakable relationships with themselves. So either one of those that you're interested in, check out the landing page. I'm here to help. And last but not least, no phone dinner. I already gave you the rundown, but just in case you forgot, put that freaking phone away. So I hope you have an incredible day. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.